Hello, fellow cyclists, or even non-cyclists. Hello to you too. Welcome to my first ever self-produced cycling-centric podcast, where I share my passion for two wheels, some interesting tips, funny stories, and maybe even help you get motivated to ride or ride little more. As a bonus, and if you're really lucky, I might even include a grumble about something that has ground my gears this week. I'm Joel, your host. It sounds rather odd to say that, and I'm recording this from my home in Switzerland. Today is actually going to be all about me, my cycling journey, and why I started my own YouTube channel, Joel's Vélo Adventures. So, who am I, and why am I so passionate about cycling? I'm in my mid-30s. I was born and raised in Oxfordshire in the UK, but now I'm living in Lausanne in western Switzerland, where, by the way, the roads and trails are basically a cyclist's dream. But more about that later. I actually don't know when I first rode a bike. I would estimate around the age of 4. I vividly remember the bike, a little yellow thing with red grips, stabilizers, and the rather annoying loose rattling chain guard box thing that occasionally fell off, and I was forced to wait for my father to come home from work to repair it. Next came my first feeling of real excitement on a bicycle. I remember one hot summer in the UK, believe it or not. We had 1 or 2 hot summers, I think, in my childhood. My younger brother came running inside, asking me to come and see something really cool that was in our garden. I went rushing out with him, as so often I did, when he said there was something cool, usually a frog or an insect, or some maimed animal in the garden. He climbed to the top of our blue plastic slide that was about 1.5 meters high, holding the little yellow bike, which by this time no longer had its stabilizers. And then, to my surprise, he proceeded to ride it down the slide. I was in awe, and I felt an immediate urge to replicate this death-defying act. I'm pretty sure we spent the rest of the afternoon doing this, until eventually the head tube was no longer part of the frame. The bike was in 2 pieces, attached only by the rear brake cable. Between snapping my first bike in half and today, there have been many bikes, and also many learning curves. My next 3 bikes were sponsored by my grandfather, who every 2 or 3 summers would turn up to our house and take me to the local bike shop without any warning, insisting that I had outgrown my last bike. The next bike was a Rally Mustang with a cycle computer, or a speedo as we used to call it as kids. I put 350 miles on that bike, as the cycle computer still had it in its memory when we recently removed it from my father's attic when he was moving house. Considering the only place I rode this bike was what we used to call around the block, which is essentially, let's say, a little island with about 40 or 50 houses on it, and the length was around half a mile around. This meant I made around 700 laps around the block. Then there were a couple more rallies with tons of gears. That's all I seem to remember is my grandfather showing me how many gears these bikes had. I think as many as 21 on some of them. And I have no recollection why, but both of these were purple in colour. I've never liked purple. Not sure why I picked purple, so that unfortunately remains a mystery to this day why I had purple bikes. Entering my teenage years, me and my friends discovered some local dirt jumps, which were about 1.5 miles outside of our village. Now, this is when things started getting pretty serious. The next few Christmases consisted of dirt jump bikes, full suspension bikes, and upgrades, such as hydraulic discs and really unnecessarily wide tires. I also have a vivid memory of there being a trend of riding, or for dirt jumping at least, riding mullet bikes. And they weren't called mullet bikes in those days, but we used to have 24-inch wheels at the back, 26 at the front, and ideally a single speed. And for some reason, we also used to run very, very narrow handlebars. I remember a few of my bikes having bars wide enough to cater for 2 grips and a single brake lever for the rear brake. And before I knew it, all of my income as a student and all of my spare time was spent riding bikes. building dirt jumps. Now, I won't bore you with every bike and every cycling discipline that I tried, so let's fast forward to today. I have 3 bikes now: a beautiful carbon canyon endurace for the road and my long rides, a Pinnacle Arcos gravel bike for the gravel or just riding around the vineyards here, which are rough concrete, and a Trek Fuel mountain bike for everything which is more severe than gravel. Actually, I have 4 bikes. I also have a Benno Boost cargo bike, which is like a long tail cargo bike for running the kids around in the warmer parts of the year. It's an e-cargo bike with, I think it's a Shimano CX motor. I actually see it closer to being a motorcycle than a bicycle. It's pretty quick and you don't have to do too much work if you have it in turbo mode. It's a great piece of kit, and I will actually try and make a video review of this in the near future because prior to buying it I couldn't find much good content. I have to be honest and add another edit here. I don't really know where it fits in, but I also have a smart bike trainer, a Stages SB20 that I bought during COVID for the lockdown. Now that's my winter training bike. Come to think of it, I'm starting to understand now why people tell me that maybe I have a cycling related addiction. Nowadays I tend to just point them at my eldest daughter, who at the ripe old age of 3 already has 4 bikes. By her choice, of course. I just fully support that it's her primary hobby, being cycling. So what keeps me pedaling? For me, it's the adventure. The freedom and feeling of connection with nature. The world has so many insane views: lakes, mountains, architecture, you name it. And to me, every ride feels like an escape from the day-to-day routine. I'm also a total nerd for cycling gear, always messing around with one of my bikes and testing new gadgets. This is really why I started this YouTube channel. I wanted to share some of my rides, from chilled out lake loops to the really sweaty alpine climbs. At the same time, share some reviews on the technology that I consume and try to help you judge whether or not it's a good purchase for you. My reviews will all be my own all of the time. I will not be influenced externally, and everything will be purchased using my own funds, or in worst case, loaned to me. And unfortunately, that's it for this first podcast. I've shared with you how I went from 0 to cycling obsessed, my maybe addiction to bike collecting, and how I hope to bring this channel to life. Next episode, which I hope to release middle of next week, we'll talk about spring cycling prep to get you ready to roll. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Thanks for joining me. Let's keep pedaling.